In this module, we'll be doing some homework. We'll be doing our lean canvas, and I'm going to show you an example of how it works. So I'd already shown you what the lean canvas looks like, and we've already gone through it in the previous model. Now we're going to be doing an example for a car hailing company. So think the Ubers, the Bolts, the Taxifys. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So first we're going to outline the problem. So what would the problem be? So for before Uber, what was the problem? So finding a taxi is difficult. Sometimes you have to walk long distances. Taxis only accept cash, and their price changes based on your haggling skills. These are things that could be very frustrating for people. Like I find it frustrating. I don't want to have to, like, I live in an estate and I would have to walk all the way to the gate, to get a taxi, which was very frustrating. It's hot in Nigeria and nobody wants to be doing all that. I also don't really carry that much cash around, and I definitely don't keep it in the house for safety reasons. So if I need a taxi, usually I have to go to the ATM first or beg the taxi driver to take me to the ATM, which has all kinds of serious security concerns. So that would be another problem. And then there's the haggling. I hate haggling. I hate like bargaining or like, okay, how much now? No, it's too dear. That's too much work for me. So, and then the price changes based on how good you are at it, which I think is notoriously unfair, but that's a topic for another day. So these are problems that typical users of taxis face. And remember when we were talking about the lean canvas and how I keep saying it, people are already solving their problems in existing ways. So they're solving the transportation problem using taxis, and you want to kind of innovate on that and make it better. And how do you make it better? You look at your problems and you offer solutions using technology, right? So what could the solutions be? First, you could say, okay, we're going to do guaranteed fast pickup. So we're going to be picking up people at their location instead of them having to come to us. Then we're going to accept card payments so you don't have to carry cash. And then we're going to show you the price so you don't even have to negotiate. You know how much it is. You know if it's too expensive or too cheap, right? Well, it's never too cheap, but you know if it's too expensive. So what key metrics could you look at? You could be looking at the number of drivers, the number of riders, the average time to pick up, and the total number of rides. Now notice the average time to pick up ties directly to one of your solutions, guaranteed fast pickups. The number of rides also ties to that because that's how you're going to know you're profitable. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we get to the revenue streams. But the other two, the number of drivers and the number of riders, indirect show you things indirectly, right? So the number of drivers affects how fast pickup can be, because if there's only one driver, it may take an hour for that driver to show up at your house, right? But if you have a lot of them, your pickup time reduces. Then if you have a lot of riders, you're showing that your business is actually viable. This is something that people want and people use, and it's better than their existing solution, right? So next we're going to go into the value proposition. Remember, short, sweet. So we allow Lagosians to get from A to B in a comfortable, safe way by allowing them to hail a taxi from their phone. Simple, one sentence. It doesn't require explanation. Literally, anybody who reads this can understand it. If you're pitching to an investor, if you're pitching to potential customers, if you're trying to explain it to somebody, you can start from here and they would automatically know what you're trying to do, right? So what's your unfair advantage? So you may have a unique mapping technology. You may have access to this like new kind of technology that allows you to figure out streets and how to get people places faster. You may have a new way to pinpoint your drivers and figure out how to get the best driver or the closest driver or the driver who's going to get them, link up people. Like, I don't know what that technology looks like, but it may be unique to you and you developed it on your own, or if you have access to it in a proprietary way that people can't just go out and copy it. So for example, one of the reasons so many ride-hailing companies are just popping up now is because Google Maps has an API that everybody can access and everybody can kind of build on it. But when Uber first started, that technology wasn't really that popular. And so they were able to leverage that. For a long time, Uber and Lyft and all these companies couldn't launch in Africa because Google hadn't mapped out the streets yet. And once they did, Here we go. We're on this roller coaster ride. So the next thing that maybe your unfair advantage is maybe you have a large access to a pool of drivers. Maybe you're in the taxi owners association. Maybe for some reason you're just very well connected in the logistics space, so you know all these people already, and you can onboard them faster or cheaper than anywhere else. Where if it was someone like me, I'd have to go spend a lot of marketing, hire a bunch of people to talk to drivers, be going door to door, doing all this stuff. But you could just hit the ground running and have 100 drivers. Like you may already have access to a fleet of 100 drivers that you could just get started like that. So that could be your unfair advantage. Your channels, you could use referrals, billboards, BRT bus ads, you could use traditional advertising, but just start to think about how people are going to find out about you. So, what are the customer segments for Uber? What can that possibly look like? So, they're going to target young, savvy professionals and tourists. These are people who need to get around quickly. So, for example, look at when I worked at KPMG, Uber was a great sell to us because we were consultants, right? We were always going to client sites, we were always going to client offices. We had a lot of external meetings. You don't always want to drive in Lagos, so they would target people like us, and it was an easy sell, right? And with your true target audience, it would always be an easy sell. So the next group is price sensitive but style conscious students and youths. These are people who may not have a lot of money, but they don't want to be showing up to like a party or a wedding in a yellow cab. They would like to show up in a car, look nice in AC. They want that prestige that Uber can give. And then the last one is partygoers and socialites. And this was the particular target for something like UberX, where you want to show up in a Range Rover. You want to show up in a Tesla. You want to show up in a Jeep or a G-Wagon. You just want to look good. So that's another target segment. They're not going after people who are looking for the kick and a pip price point. They're not going after people who are looking for to go long distances, like travel across state lines. Uber, they still won't do that. So be very specific about your customer segment. It's really important because the way you phrase your business will rely heavily on this customer segment, who they are, how they interact with you, what kind of language you use in your advertising and stuff like that. But we'll go into that a little bit more in the growth section, right? Next, the cost structure. For something like a car hailing app, you're going to be spending on IT and infrastructure. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're going to be paying for servers. You're going to be paying to have the app built. You're going to be paying for any APIs you consume. Then you're going to spend a lot of money on marketing and PR if that's how you're planning to use to grow. And then you're going to have to train and acquire these drivers, which could be very expensive. Like, you have to go to them where they are, and you still have to train them on how to use the app, how to talk to customers. People always talk about Uber when they first got here, all the drivers were so polite. And a lot of that was training. That Uber would have these sessions of 30 to 40 people. They would give them drinks and food and like teach them how to use the app. They would have to do testing, so they would have to pay for the testing software and all that stuff. So you have to keep those things in mind. The last is your revenue stream. How would you make money? So you can make commission on trips and sponsored ads and vehicles. So I've seen this model in different parts of the world where in the Ubers they have like a little tablet and it shows ads, and they use that to, you know, make some money, and then most of them will take a small commission. Well, not a small commission. Sometimes it's as much as 20% on the cost of the trip, right? So that's it. That's an example of your lean canvas for a car hailing company. Now, I'd like you to go ahead and print out or draw out, if you can't, your lean canvas and fill it out for yourself. Remember, keep it to one page, keep it concise, keep it simple. See you in the next lesson.